Hi everyone, I'm Semaganda Joseph. Thanks once again for joining us on our YouTube channel. As always, we've got very important information for you. Today I will be discussing what you should know before buying a breeding stock, or what you should know when you're going to buy a breeding stock in goats and sheep. First of all, you shouldn't do what we call impulse buying. What does this mean? What I mean here is that you need to do your research and you need to decide what you want before you start buying. Don't just make calls or get in a car and just over to somebody's farm without having an idea of what it is that you want, and just buying animals because you have got money. Many people make calls and they ask, do you have boas? First of all, I don't know how boas look like. Do you have savannas? I don't know how savannas look like. Even at times, some people just make calls and ask for photos, but at times the photos can't explain it all. After sending the animal, they start saying it's not the one, this looks a bit small, or at times they just assume a certain person, say it is 75, 87 old, and they start complaining. Have respect for your money and passion for other animals. After reaching at the farm and you make your own decisions, I believe you'll be happy and contented with the animals you have taken. If you are not ready to come and see what you want to buy, how will you be able to take care of it? Because in most farms, most people are there over the weekend or once in a month. They are hardly there. So it makes business sense that you go and you see. So you need to look at the breeds and decide what works for you and what plan do you have ahead, instead of someone deciding for you in your absence. So you shouldn't do impulse buying. Stop even buying cute and cuddly animals. Some people buy animals because they look cute. They don't know their history, but you need to understand and to know that at times goats or sheep are adorable and they are cute and cuddly, but cute and cuddly doesn't even last very long when it comes to sheep and goats industry, because they may look very nice. That's what we call the phenotype, the physical appearance of an animal. But in actual sense, the genetic makeup or the genotype may not be, say, pure or 93 or 87. So definitely, you need to keep it in mind and make sure you buy a breed you have knowledge about, or that can easily suit your style of farming. Assume you're going to do zero grazing. I wouldn't advise you to go for Rokomobende because of their growth rate. So make enough research on the kind of breeds you want to buy and find out what it takes to keep such breed. What are the negative traits and the positive traits about those breeds that you want? There are going to be negative traits associated with each and every breed, and you just have to learn how to deal with it. Because many people say that the exotic breeds may be so hard, let me start with the locals, let me keep on improving. So, but it's okay. Starting sort of with a big vision is okay. But all the breeds, they have negative and positive traits. So what matters most is make enough research, ask those people who keep those kind of breeds, make sure you learn and you know how to deal with the negative traits which may be included in such kind of breeds that you want to buy. Another point, don't look for cheap animals. Cheap isn't the answer. Look for a value. You can look for a bargain, but don't say cheap, because it will be as if you are sending a wrong message to any breeder. In my opinion, I think you can say, hey BGM, I'm just starting. I want a good quality or best quality animal that I can afford, and here's my price range, and here's what I can afford. What can I do? How can you help me out? I believe it will work with you and see how you can be helped than calling and you're like, I want some junk or cheap animals that you've got. Any breeder won't understand what's your goal here, because when you want junk and you pay for junk, you get junk. Exactly, junk. Please let it get out of your head that you want cheap animals. When it comes to breeding or buying your breeding stock, don't buy breeding stock at the sale barn. The only animals we send to the sale barn are for slaughter and those which are going to be consumed. and those that we have found out that they are not breeding prospects. Breeders can't send any of the breeding quality to the sale barn, nor can large producers or professionals do that. Some people want bottle babies, but why? Some people think they are saving money by buying bottle babies, but in actual sense they are not. The unfortunate truth is that you need to embrace and realize about is that there was either something wrong with the baby or there was something wrong with the mother. Please let that sink in, and this is not something you would wish for if you are going to do breeding, because bottle babies tend to have health issues, they grow slower, and they tend to make worse parents. Just stay away from those bottle babies because they won't give you what you want. And most people, as we are starting, we thought maybe you may go to a breeder and you find a goat is 800k, 1 million Ugandan shillings, or 2 million. And you thought it was so expensive. And you may find the same goat maybe even bigger than the one you found at the breeder's place when it is 300 or 400k at the sale barn. All flowers, those abattoirs where they're going to be sorted from. And we bought some, but we faced it rough. You know that cheap things are very expensive in the long run. So I wouldn't advise anybody who's going to buy a breeding stock to go to the marketplace. You may think you have got something very big, but not productive. You may think you have got something very nice because it resembles, that's the phenotype, the outward appearance doesn't mean that the genetics is good or it is going to give you what you want. So we found out that some animals which are put there at the marketplace for slaughter or at the butcher, when you go and buy them from the butcher, you will find out that those animals have problems. Some goats produce, but they don't have enough milk to feed the babies to grow at the right pace. And you find some get miscarriages. That's why the first owner sold them off. You may find that they are usually attacked by certain diseases and they don't usually recover very fast. So I wouldn't advise you. If you have got one by mistake and you think it is healthy, in the long run, down the road, you realize that you took something very bad and it's going to be costly in the long run. Reason being, some don't conceive. Others, when they conceive, they get miscarriages. Others, when they produce, they don't have milk to feed the babies. Others, when they produce lame babies. So that's why you find that the breeders sell them off to the sale barn so that they can be eaten instead of making them breeding prospects. So I wouldn't advise anybody who's going to buy a breeding stock 2023 to go and buy from the sale barn or marketplace or unreliable breeders. So we once did such a mistakes and we are very happy, but down the road, you say you have lost money, you have lost time. So please don't buy cheap and not look for cheap animals. Don't buy from the sale barn. It will be expensive in the long run. After that point, let's go to point number 3. The other point is about inspecting the animals before taking them at your farm. It is very necessary. That's why it is very necessary before going to buy the breeding stock to have some knowledge, say about the age, about the foot, mouth, even the technical, the physical appearance. How does the pure look like that? So that when you reach at the farm or breeder's place, you can be able to inspect. You can learn more from there, but again, you must have an idea about it. So it is a necessity before buying animals, and it makes more sense to buy from a reputable breeder who keeps records, because there's no way for you to know exactly what it is that you are getting. We can go through the nuts and bolts of inspection of the animal itself, checking the hooves. Have they rotted or they have not rotted? Are they properly trimmed or they are not? Checking the mouth and the teeth of the animals. Like for the goats, the teeth of the goats, that those pairs, the permanent pairs, they will tell you the age of the goat. It is not advisable, and I wouldn't advise anybody who's going to buy a breeding stock to buy very mature goats. those which are produced several times. Some people take old goats, you tell them take this one which are still young, they get used to the place, they become pregnant from there, so that they can be used to the environment. By the time they're pregnant, by the time they produce, they're used to the environment. People want mature ones because they're big. But remember, they become bigger with time and with age in most cases. So I would advise you to take goats which are like in between 8 to 1.5 years, in between that range, because they will stay there for so long. They will give you enough children. By the time you'll be selling them off to the sale barn, they will have already made the profits. I wouldn't advise you to go. So you have to inspect the age by looking at the permanent pairs they have, so to check the way they walk, the way they move, whether their feet have rotted or not. So checking the teeth structure, the way they walk or they move, even the teeth structures can tell you whether you have got something good or it's not. So it is really important, if especially you are going to be buying breeding stock, is you need to go to the breeder who has reputation, a good reputation. You need to look at the parents, you need to look at the facility that they are coming from, and you need to make a judgment call for yourself whether the breeders are able or not. Is this someone I'm going to go back to in case I have problem, in case of any consultation or help? It is nice to establish a relationship with a breeder and be able to go back if you have questions, comments, or concerns later on down the road. So it's very good to go to someone you find or talk to again. Just imagine if I found someone, like there are some markets which are there maybe on Thursday, weekday, monthly, after 3 years. You go there, you buy a goat or goats or sheep, say even dairy cows, and they are not there again. How will you consult in case you get any problem? So it's very good. You go to a reputable breeder, you buy your animal from someone whom you can have a good relationship with, who you can consult again. It makes a lot of sense that way. So I wouldn't recommend someone to just go to anybody or to make it place and buy there, because it has got a lot of disadvantages. And besides that, I wouldn't recommend someone to go and buy very old animals. So it makes business sense that to buy young animals, they get used to the place. And again, I wouldn't advise you to go and buy very mature or mature goats and pregnant at the same time, because they usually suffer from shipping fever along that when you're taking them to the farm. You find they get miscarriages, they suffer a lot of problems, and usually like an old person, even treating an old person is more cumbersome than a young one. So another point is buying animals. It would be very good that you buy animals in pairs at least. Like if you have gone to buy goats, it's good to buy 2. Why? This will help you to have the best possible outcome, as you will not deal with depression, you are not going to deal with chewing issues and other kinds of issues that you can deal with due to high level of stress. So getting 2 animals or above or of the same species is very good, because they will be used to each other. At least they can give each other company. In the due process, they won't be stressed. Remember, when an animal is stressed, its body immunity, the body immunity of that animal will go down. And in case of any diseases in there, or shipping fever or any other sickness, that animal will easily be affected and will be facing a lot of problems on the farm. So it makes a lot of sense that if you're going to buy, say buy 2 and above, so that they can give each other company, there won't be so much stress or depression. You see that your animals will easily get used to the environment. Thanks so much for watching the video. Please, if you haven't subscribed yet, make it a point to subscribe. And I wish you a blessed 2023 year. So buy like apro. Don't buy from the marketplaces. Don't look for cheap animals, because cheap is very expensive in the long run. Try to buy your animals in pair. Avoid impulse buying. If you are aware of that, you are good to go and make enough research. You can't get all the content on the knowledge from the YouTube or from a single farm. Keep on learning, because the world never stops teaching. That's why you have to keep on learning each and every passing day. May God bless you all, and please make it a point to subscribe if you are new here.